John and Sam in Japan, the International Comedy Podcast.
Theme tune time. Let's go, John. John and Sam in Japan. John and Sam in Japan. John and Sam in Japan.
I told you there's no way I'm singing.
Come on. John and Sam in Japan. John and Sam in Japan. Yeah. John and Sam in Japan.
Never gonna happen. And put your clothes back on, it's just weird.
Never.
John and Sam in Japan, the International Comedy Podcast.
Welcome to the show. He is John.
And he is Sam.
And this is John and Sam in Japan.
The International Comedy Podcast.
Yeah. Good work.
I'm getting good at this, aren't
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. We've done it 6 times before, yes. I suppose.
Well, 7, because you forgot to press record on time, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Wonder how long you're going to be bringing that up for. We've got a really, really packed show this time. But before that, I think the listeners would probably like to hear from you. The previous episode, we were talking about your misdemeanor, where you'd had a couple too many drinks, went home, wrecked the joint, and smashed a very precious picture frame. Wondering how that went down with the wife.
Yeah, so that was when I sat in the car with you. I'd literally gone to bed and woken up, and so I hadn't really thought it through. But what I did was I was honest. I told her that I'd smashed this picture.
You were honest?
Yes.
First time for everything.
Yeah. I was still drunk. And then, and then I put it back on the wall. But then when she came home the following day, she just completely didn't notice.
So she didn't even know which picture frame had been broken?
No.
So it wasn't broken too badly then?
Well, no, all the glass was out of it. It was just, now it's just a picture without any glass in it. But she was more angry about the fact that I'd completely shaved my head. And do you know who her favourite actor is?
No, can I guess?
Yeah.
If he's, I'm assuming he's bald.
Yes.
So it's going to be Jason Statham.
Yes,
Is it?
Yeah.
Which...
So I thought I'd done a good job, and she's like, "No, you don't look anything like Jason Statham. He's cool."
Yeah, I think the similarities between you and Jason do stop at the hairstyle.
We're both British.
Yeah.
Good at drinking. Yeah. I've never been an Olympic athlete.
Was he?
Yeah.
Who was he?
He was a professional diver.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He was in. Was it the '88 Olympics?
Oh, was he? Oh, fair play, Jason. Okay. Anyway,
He's 50 now, you know.
is he?
Yeah.
He's doing all right.
He's
Isn't he?
doing all right for himself, isn't
Yeah. You'll be well dead by then.
he? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, what's on this? We got a packed show, you said. So, what have we got?
Oh, right. Well, we have an interview with Evans Musoka, a Kenyan comedian based here in Tokyo. We have, of course, some news stories, the burning question, and some stand-up comedy from LA-based comedian Jimmy Shin. So, it's going to be a packed show.
Yeah, exciting.
But first, this.
This is J&S in J News.
Okay, so now it's time for the news section of the show. This is the part where me and Sam find a story that hasn't been maybe so covered in the mainstream media. Making a right kerfuffle out of this.
That's because you're a right kerfuffling flipper.
So go ahead. So what story have you got for me then?
So the story I've got for you this week, it's the headline: Men in fake spacesuits arrested over NASA scam.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it says 2 men in homemade spacesuits who claimed they had a deal with NASA and could generate electricity from thunderbolts. That's already unbelievable.
Yeah.
They have been arrested for allegedly defrauding a businessman. It doesn't say how simple the businessman was, but I'm assuming he's fairly simple.
So this was in America?
India.
Right.
Yeah. Indian police tweeted a picture of the father and son duo wearing crinkly silver material and floppy-topped helmets after a businessman complained he had been duped out of £156,000.
Wow.
So you're talking $300,000 or so.
Yeah, gosh, that's good work by them.
Yeah. Father and son defrauding, it's like the plot of a crap film.
Yeah. Dirty rotten scoundrels.
The 2 men claimed they would be able to sell a device called the Rice Puller to NASA once it was ready. Police said they recovered what the accused described as copper plates, anti-radiation suits, and anti-radiation chemical stickers.
What's it got to do with rice?
I'm not sure. I think that they were saying they would pull the energy from the thunderbolts, but I think the rice puller was just the name of the thing. I think these guys are making it up as they go along. So first of all, they probably went like, the guy said, well, what's the name of your product? It's the rice puller. And then they went, right, what does it do? Shit.
Generates electricity from thunderbolts.
Yeah, they didn't think it through clearly. It said they were confident and spoke in fluent English. So perhaps you and I could defraud someone because they're about the only skills we've got.
I once defrauded the British government out of about £600.
Good. I'm not sure if this is the medium to be telling that story.
I won't tell you that story.
Yeah. Well, join us for
Crown Prosecution Service. So technically, yeah.
Join us for episode next week. Paul and Sam in Japan.
John in jail. Yeah.
It said the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Bisham Singh, said that the duo roped in fake actors posing as Defence Research and Development Organisation officials just to convince the businessmen of the authenticity of the equipment.
Oh, so they're doing it properly then.
Yeah, they've been...
Got a team together.
Yeah, it's like...
got a mark. Sounds like, Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11 with tin foil. An official said the pair had also been arrested after selling some snakes.
Selling snakes?
Yeah, claiming they were rare and had medicinal properties.
Does that newspaper story finish with but their plot was foiled? No.
No, but it definitely should have. What have you got for me this week?
So I've got a story. This is just... So a guy in America has been ordered by a judge to leave his parents' house. He's 30 years old, and the judge told him to get out of his parents' house already. His parents had sent him numerous notices. Notices. I
take back what I said before about being fluent in English.
Yeah. So his name's Michael Rotondo. He's 30 years old, and he's been living at his parents' house near Syracuse.
Rotondo makes him sound like a fat Italian.
Christina and Mark Rotondo of Camillus near Syracuse sent their son numerous eviction notices and even gave him $1,100 to help him find a new place.
They're desperate to get rid of him, aren't they?
He must be such a knob. He said that...
I hope he's not a listener.
Yeah. When he sat there in his parents' basement. He said he was entitled to an additional 6 months before being evicted, citing a case he found on the internet. Nice one, mate. So
how did I know that he would be good at using computers?
Yeah, the judge said it was outrageous, and Rotondo fired back, calling the judge's order outrageous. He plans
good vocabulary.
He said he plans to appeal the decision, and he says, "I'm not bothering them by living here."
Well, you clearly are. If they want you out.
Yeah, it's little to no cost to them, and considering how much they've harassed me, I think it's the least that they should be required to do, which is just let me hang here a bit longer and use their hot water and electricity. So these parents, they give him $1,100 to find a place for stay, and they said they asked him to remove his... Rotondo's parents sent him 5 written notices that date back to February, one of which asks him to remove his broken car from their property. And there are jobs available, even for those with a poor work history like you. The letter reads, "Get one. You have to work."
Right. Yeah, I think if he says that he's not causing them any bother, but he's got stuff on there. He's got a broken down car on their property. Yep. He's using their electricity and their hot water. Yep. He does sound like he's bothering them a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he says you could get a job, or you could sell some of your belongings, like your stereo and weapons. So he sounds like he's going to go and kill a load of people, doesn't he?
Where is he from?
Syracuse.
Well, if you're living in Syracuse, watch your back.
Watch out for Mr. Rotondo, the Punisher. Yeah, so...
He said he was living there. Did he have any pets? Like maybe a pet mouse?
What? No, he doesn't say.
Well, that's the end of that tale.
Fuck off.
That was J&S in J News.
time for an interview. This episode, we have Evans Musoka, a Kenyan comedian based in Tokyo. He was recently a finalist in the Magners International Comedy Festival. He went over to Vietnam and performed in the finals there. This is a really interesting interview. We actually... little bit of a spoiler alert. We talk about Black Panther because he's from Kenya and we're that imaginative. So there's a tiny spoiler. I would call it a spoilette. So
It's a shit film anyway.
so if you're into Black Panther and you haven't seen it, just close your ears at certain points when we're talking about that. All right, here he is. So, Evans, thanks for joining us.
Another Sunday and another karaoke box.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, total pleasure. So, you've just been over performing in the Magners International Comedy Festival final in Vietnam.
Yep.
How'd you get on?
I mean, that was amazing. I was just, excited that, Magners for this year came to Tokyo. The funny thing is that I've been trying to apply just for sport for their shows like in Singapore and Malaysia, and they never even got back to me to say no.
Really?
For the last 3 years, man. So that was disappointing.
Yeah.
I was so pissed off that I had to win,
Yeah.
So I was doing it out of hate and anger that I'm going to show them I'm fine. And I'm going to use their money to just as revenge, Yeah.
So you got a free flight over to Vietnam?
Not free, subsidized.
Oh, okay.
Magners, you cheap bastards.
Yeah.
Cheap motherfuckers. No, but I like them. They were so good to me. They were so organized, and I missed my flight actually.
No way.
Yeah, on the day I was supposed to fly, I reached at the airport, and the guy at the counter is like, "Hey, excuse me, your passport has 3 names, but your ticket has 2, so our system can't allow that."
Really?
And the second problem is that you're black, so. No, I'm kidding.
I once had that with...
they said you were black?
Yeah. It was a good holiday in Spain. They put my name wrong, McBride John, and this woman was just not going to let me on the flight.
Really?
And it was a
crazy,
stag weekend to Barcelona.
Right.
Yeah, and eventually going to get the manager down and say it's just ridiculous.
Right.
I was so pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, I have my passport, I have my ID. Like, I was like, guys, I am Evan. Those are my names. I mean, take a blood test or whatever you want to do, man. I have to go. But the good thing is that I decided to go to the festival earlier than the dates I was supposed to go. So just for a mini holiday before the event, so that I can just, come up with some impromptu jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was okay. I just booked another flight and I got there on time.
So did Magners subsidize both flights or just the one?
No, both.
Both, did they?
Oh, that's
Yes,
good.
yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
I'll take that back.
Actually, a huge chunk. I paid like 13% or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
They put me up in a 5-star hotel. And
Okay,
so,
I retract that, cheap
Yeah,
bastards.
yeah. No, well,
I
haven't they?
retract that. No, but yeah, I'd like to work with them in the future. I really enjoyed myself.
Well, so I was just going to clarify for the listener. So Evans won the Tokyo heat
Yes.
of the Magners International Comedy Festival.
Yes.
Then went to Vietnam for the final.
Yes.
And you didn't win that.
No, I didn't win.
Sorry to have to bring that up.
No, it's okay. I won because I think I came on second.
Second.
Yes,
Hey.
the winner was from Singapore.
Right.
Yeah, he to be honest, he wasn't funnier than me. It was just He was just, it's the Asian Magners International Comedy Festival.
So you think you've been discriminated
I'm not
against?
Asian. No, I'm just kidding, guys. The guy is funny, man.
Yeah, of course.
Christopher, big ups, man. Congratulations. He did a good job. He is very funny, and I enjoyed all the acts.
You won the Tokyo heat.
Yes,
so
I did.
that was congratulations. But John and I, neither of us could perform
Yeah,
for
wow.
different reasons.
I was in England.
What are the reasons, actually? I was like, what?
Yeah, well, I wasn't available to fly
Allowed.
to Vietnam.
He wasn't. His wife wouldn't let him.
What about John?
I was in England. Yeah.
Yeah. So does it feel like really you're the third best comedian in Tokyo?
I know you guys your schedules are free for next year. That's why I was like, man, I'm not going against you guys. I don't want to be third. I know. I only fight wars that I can win, I'm smart.
Because you performed in Rwanda.
Yes, Rwanda was amazing, and they actually told me to go back this year, but unfortunately the same day is when I'll be performing in Hong Kong. So and Hong Kong booked me first, so I wouldn't be able to make it to Rwanda this year for the festival.
What's like performing in Rwanda and performing in like Hong Kong or Japan? What's the difference? Like
the funny thing, actually, that's one thing I've been telling comedians. I try and internationalize my material. I try and make jokes that I wouldn't have to work on a lot when I'm performing in other countries. And one of my best performances, as well as my most difficult performance, was in Rwanda. People might think, "Oh, you're from Africa, so it might be the easiest." No, that was difficult actually, because when I perform, let's say in Singapore, China, or Malaysia, or whatever it is, I make fun of myself, my African background and stuff like that. And it's funny. It's funny for guys who have never been there and they've only seen African on TV. But when you perform in Rwanda, you're performing for Africans, Yeah, so it is difficult. And actually, Rwanda was the most, like, I don't know, that show was difficult because I have a bit I do on cockroaches, You know the bit, right? And when I started that bit, I had forgotten that, in Rwanda, you're not supposed to mention cockroach.
Oh, right.
Because during the genocide, the Hutus were referring to Tutsis as cockroaches.
Right. God. Oh, I see.
So whenever you're performing in Rwanda, don't say anything about cockroaches,
Right.
That's a sensitive word.
Yes, I'm so glad that I had a strong punchline.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I was just after that beat, I did 2 more beats. I was like, man, I'm out of here. Before I bomb and get killed here, I gotta go.
Is there anything else we need to cover?
Well, do you want to do the Black Panther stuff? Or no?
I mean, we can go a little bit.
We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah.
What's a delicate way to introduce it?
I'm going to say it really bluntly.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we've got Evans, we've got you. Yeah. And last night I watched Black Panther.
Ooh,
Yes.
you are late, man.
Yes, well...
Hashtag Wakanda.
Not forever.
I need to say this. On the trip last night, I was emailing Evans while I was watching him, asking him if he found it, how did he like it, because he's my only African friend. On the train on the way here, I was telling Sam this. Sam told me that for 2 weeks he didn't know what Wakanda meant, and he just wondered why everybody was saying it. No. He's such a white boy that he was too scared to ask.
Yeah, actually, embarrassingly, it was more than 2 weeks. Just kept seeing the word Wakanda everywhere. I was like,
Wakanda.
Exactly.
But now you know, right? You know Wakanda means Jesus in Swahili, right?
God,
They still have no idea.
I know what it's connected to.
So you haven't watched
I haven't seen the film. But it's definitely on my to-watch list. But I mean, then is it worth watching? Is it a good film?
Well, I work with a black... African American, I guess, is what he'd call himself. And he'd said to me, "Oh, it's not as good as everybody's saying it is." So I kind of went into it because I've got friends who have watched it who said, "Oh, it's just amazing." And then I watched it and I just thought it's just basically a Hollywood version of Africa, and it just seemed a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the movie, to be honest. I like that it, at the end of the day, it brings. It's one of those movies where you'll not see a white person going into Africa and saving everybody. But still, there was a white person trying to save
There's still a white guy who does save everybody.
Yes. Does he die in the movie?
No, they save him and then they take him to Wakanda and then he finds out, oh, look, they've got all this technology. And then he saves them by flying one of those spaceships.
Exactly. Spoiler alert. The white guy doesn't die in the movie.
He works for the CIA.
Of course he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we still have a white superhero in the movie, but just fewer, Yeah, there's fewer white superheroes, but it shows. But that's not how Africa is even now.
No.
To be honest,
I was like, how much of it is filmed in Africa?
That's the thing. Like even filming and the cast, and I felt so somehow offended that like the cast was trying to speak with an African accent. You know? Why don't you just go for African actors?
Yeah.
So
That's
the
what I
actors
thought.
weren't African. They were
No, they're all
what,
Americans and one British guy.
Some were African, like 2 or 3.
Right.
Yes, Lupita Nyong'o from Kenya and there's this other lady from Zimbabwe, you know. But
it's like Forrest Whitaker and
exactly, yeah. I feel like if you wanna make something about Africa, it's better to go to Africa and get people from there, man, you know?
Yeah.
And not just cloning the accent and trying to be like Africans, you know? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just another Hollywood film for me.
What's it now? 2018.
Yep.
Where's Evans a Comedian going to be? 2025.
2025.
Yeah.
I'll be dead. No, I mean, I try and set, you know, those small goals for myself as a comedian. Like now, 2020, I'm planning to have like covered at least 20 countries. In not less than 5 years. No, sorry, in less than 5 years.
It's going to definitely be 6 or more.
I just want to be a traveling comedian. I just want to go.
So do you think you're going to remain based in Japan, or would you prefer to move to like Singapore? Or
No, I love Japan. I mean, I love this place. I love to stay here for a while, but the thing with me, I can't just stay here without working, you know. Exactly, unless I get married or stuff like that. But I just want to travel. I want to travel and do comedy. That's the dream. Like,
would you ever want to go and say live in the UK? Because you'd probably you've got more chance of making it as a professional comedian in the UK.
Definitely,
in Japan, there's not really.
Yeah, that's very true. And I was talking to a friend, Saku, the Japanese comedian friend of mine, today actually, and he was like, if you want to make it as a comedian in Japan, you have to do only like comedy in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I can't do that, man. So I'd like to move maybe to the UK or to Vancouver in Canada for a while, just to establish myself and get myself out there and just do comedy for a while. And the only challenge is that I'm from Kenya.
Yeah,
that's the only challenge. Like, even if I have the money to go and sustain me out there for a while and get a part-time job, it will still be difficult for the paperwork and stuff like that, because as I said before, I've been invited to perform in LA and in the UK, in Australia and all these other places, and I'm trying to go to Edinburgh this year for the festival, but man, the visa, man, it's not easy.
Even, well, I mean, because we're from the UK, so even for Kenyan people, the visa for the UK is quite difficult.
Yes, it's I've never tried, to be honest, but from the stories I've heard, it's quite a challenge, but I'm trying to go for
I don't think it's getting any easier.
Exactly. Now, especially with whatever is happening now in the world, it's getting even more difficult.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I'm having trouble with my missus being Japanese, and then even now the government's kind of really clamping down on just foreigners in general. It's a huge. That's one of the, it's a huge impediment to my career. Yeah.
As a comedian, because
and it's a shame.
It's
really.
a shame, man, because like for me, like even when you show them the papers, you're like, here's my hotel booking, here's my bank account, I have enough to take care of myself for a week. I'm only going for a week. Come on, I can afford to take.
Will your mum be listening to this going, he's got money?
Mom, I'm only doing this for the podcast,
To be fair, we're not paying him for doing this.
They're not paying me, Mom. They're not. These are broke white people.
Yeah, we're as poor as your son, Mrs.
So I mean, it's a huge impediment to my career, and that's why I'm like but the thing is, I can't stop comedy,
Yeah.
Whether I end up as a traveling comedian or I end up as a 49-year-old English teacher in Chiba, Japan, I still do comedy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I can't leave this thing. I'm hooked.
Thanks to Evans there for coming to meet us on a very, very rainy Sunday afternoon in Tokyo. And now, time for this episode's sponsor.
Hello, Mrs. Suzuki here from Suzuki-san Sushi, formerly Nakata-san Sushi, but I got divorced. Do you foreigner like sushi? You do? That's great. All the fish used to make our sushi is fresh or frozen fresh. 100% caught in Japanese Ocean, almost none of which was caught in radioactive areas. Come down to Suzuki-san Sushi next to Ebisu Station for some of the safest, least dangerous sushi that meets all the minimum government safety standards. And if you are a single man in his mid-30s, early 40s, you get a special prize.
Yo, Johnny McBee and Sammy O.T. Two Brits talking shit over a cup of tea. Probably a spot of milk and a crumpet, please. But there's something else cooking in the kitchen. Could someone answer the burning question?
And now it's time for this episode's burning question. But before we get to that, I think we've had a few answers to previous burning questions. So who's been in contact with us, Sam?
Yeah, we had an email in from Owen from Ireland. He says, recently at a whiskey tasting in London, there were whiskey producers from all over the world. Spotting some young Japanese women dispensing samples, he thought he would have a go at using a little Japanese. He says he's been learning Japanese for a few years. So he approached the stand and he said, konnichiwa. And then pointing to the whiskey, he said, kono whiskey kudasai. One of the women smiled a gentle smile and she said, we are Korean. The Japanese stand is over there.
And I suppose we should tell what the burning question for that answer was. It was the burning question, have you ever made a cultural faux pas?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So
He did say, just to finish that one.
Sorry.
He did say he still managed to get a sample of whiskey off them.
Oh, nice.
So it worked out okay.
All right, and I think we had a reply from somebody called Terry from the UK. And it says, when I was 16, I stayed with a French family as part of an exchange. It was to learn the language and soak up some of the culture. One mealtime, the French family were teasing me about the British quirks, such as queuing, bowler hats, stiff upper lip, etc. Thinking I would enter into this bantering, I casually said, if the British are such a joke, why is it every time you have problems with the Germans, you come running to us? The rest of the meal was completed in silence.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned racism there.
Yeah. That's another quite serious cultural faux pas. So, this episode's burning question is, what's the most serious medical condition you've convinced yourself you have before going to a doctor to find out it's nothing? And we had quite a few responses. Any that caught your eye, John?
We had a reply from an Israeli called Michelle, who said he actually had the opposite. He was convinced he just needed a tiny fill-in, but the dentist ended up extracting 3 of his wisdom teeth.
Oh, right. Well, it could have been worse, I suppose. Yes. It could have been 4. Kevin from America said, I once thought I had serious clinical depression, but then the doctor told me to just quit being a whiny little bitch. I suspect he might be joking.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Dom from America said he had a huge throbbing headache, which the doctor told him was just a pimple in his ear. He said any pain that close to your brain is much more intense.
Oh, really?
Did not know that.
Yeah, right. It'd have to be very, very deep inside your ear, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Simon from England, he said, pretty sure this is another joke, I thought I had a stroke down the entire left-hand side of my body. I'm all right now.
Hey.
We also had a... easy for you to say. And on Twitter, we also had a reply from the You're Dead to Me podcast. It's a podcast that's hosted by a man guy, Fraser Ruddick, and his co-presenter Stacey Peterson. This was a message definitely from Fraser. He said that he once thought he had testicular cancer. At the time, he rethought his entire life, regretted all the bad things that he had done, and he decided to be a better person in his remaining days. Turned out just to be a cyst. And he returned to being, in his words, a bit of a jerk.
We had one reply from the Perfect Layers at Tokyo via Twitter. And I said face cancer. Turned out to be a spot under a mole. I insisted he was wrong. He insisted he wasn't. He wasn't. He's a good doctor.
Oh, that's good news.
Yes.
I'm glad most of these have got happy endings.
Yeah.
The You're Dead to Me podcast I mentioned before, after they tweeted us on Twitter, obviously, I gave their podcast a listen. It's good. Yeah, I'd recommend it. It's Fraser and Stacey. They have a bit of banter about different topics. If you like the stuff that we do, I think you probably like what they would do. So, yeah, maybe go and give it a listen.
Nice.
Anyway, so, John, what's the most serious medical condition you've convinced yourself you have before going to a doctor to find out it's nothing?
Well, recently, me and you, we went, I haven't actually told you this story yet, but our families, we went away to Gotemba for, it was a bank holiday. And the day after we came back, my testicle was really hurting. And so I convinced myself I had testicular cancer.
Oh, right.
And so I went to the hospital. I took my wife with me for moral support. And I peed into a cup, and the doctor was like, well, it's definitely not cancer because we've tested everything. And he said to me, have you been smashing your testicles before?
Oh, yeah, I forgot I was doing that.
Yeah, and then I remembered that when we were away with our families, we went to a kids' playground, and I went on a merry-go-round, and I accidentally banged my balls quite hard on the horse. But I was still unsure, and so I asked the doctor if he would have a check with his hands, and he didn't seem to want to. And so eventually he did, and he said, nope, they're fine. My wife was just stood there watching, shaking her head.
Well, I'm glad you're all right.
Yeah, me too. I thought, oh, possibly, cancer.
You'll have to stop banging your balls on the horse.
Yes. How about you?
Yeah, well, I'm a huge hypochondriac.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I most times of my life think I'm dying of something. I think the one that probably would make a good story was you had problems with your front parts. I had a little bit of a problem with my back parts, and I didn't know what it was, but I convinced myself whatever it was going to kill me. So I went to the doctor, and he did a digital rectal examination, and everything turned out to be fine. But something that kind of I realised when that happened was I always assumed that when you were having this procedure, you would just bend over. But actually what they do is they get you to lie on your side on a bed, right, and they make you curl up in the fetal position.
Right.
And that's really convenient because after they're finished, that's the exact position you want to be in. Anyway, that's all for...
Well, are we gonna? I think we're gonna start doing something new.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah,
script.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna ask this burning question for next episode's.
That's right. One of the listeners got in touch on Facebook. Daniel, thank you for getting in touch. And he said that he wasn't quite sure how to find the burning question. Yep. So we do put it on Twitter and Facebook, but maybe not everyone can find it easily. So we're gonna say next episode's burning question now.
So the next episode's burning question is, have you ever shown something inappropriate to a child, or when you were a child, did you ever see something that was massively inappropriate?
Now, I think we need to rephrase
that. Should have written this down.
Yeah, you should have done. I could hear you, just the words were really long. Have you ever? How can we rephrase that?
Have you ever allowed a child to see something that's highly inappropriate?
Sounds just as bad. Yeah. I think we should change the word see to watch.
Okay.
Because really we're talking about films, aren't we? Or things like that.
Yeah, okay. Watch. Have you ever allowed a kid to watch something that's highly inappropriate? Or when you were a child, did you watch anything that was highly inappropriate?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not comfortable with the wording. But listeners, I think you know what we mean.
No filth, please.
Yeah, no filth.
Well, just a little bit. Yeah.
Gentle filth. Yeah, I'm sure you understand.
It's international, yeah. John and Sam in Japan.
Time for some stand-up. This episode, we have some stand-up comedy from Jimmy Shin. Jimmy is a Los Angeles-based stand-up comedian and actor. He's been on The Tonight Show, Jimmy Kimmel, and he's been on HBO's TV show Luck. His new special, Jimmy Shin's Walk of Shame, it's a 1-hour special being released soon. So this guy, genuinely funny. Yeah, please enjoy.
It sucks being a race, no matter how long you've been in this country, people think you're a foreigner, okay? If you're Italian, fresh off the boat, right? They're like, Paisan, what's up? You're Italian-American, right? You could be second or third generation Korean-American, and there's always some gringo that goes, where are you from, son? China? And I'm like, I've been in the same class as you since kindergarten. Why do you keep asking me that? I'm actually from Seattle, and man, living down here is different, because everything is different down here, right? At least in Seattle, at the sushi places, they actually employ Asian people. Like, I went to a sushi place in Hollywood, and some white guy greeted me at the door. He was like, arigato gozaimasu. And I was like, you're white, I'm Korean. Who's kidding who? Okay? Just because you have a man bun doesn't make you a samurai. You're 6'3", you're whiter than my ass, and you're like, arigato gozaimasu. Nan desu ka? Oba-san gohan kudasai. And then I went to the kitchen hoping to find at least a Japanese sushi chef. And they were all Mexicans back there. And one of them saw me and he was like, arigato gozaimasu. I'm not gonna lie though, there are advantages to being an Asian stoner though. Because you could get stoned at work and nobody could call you out on it. I got so fucking baked at work, and my boss had the nerve to ask me, are you high? And I was like, I'm Asian. My eyes are always like this. And he was like, as you were, I'll give you a bonus. I'll give you anything. And I was like, arigato gozaimasu. Just celebrated a birthday. Yeah, I just turned 58 years old. You can't tell though, because I'm Asian. I could be 18, I could be 58. But when I turn 70, I'll look 2,000 years old. I'll grow like a white beard and shit. I'll be petting like a white cat relentlessly. I'll turn from like Bruce Lee to Mr. Miyagi in a matter of fucking moments. Just started dating exclusively. White women. Not because I have a preference or I discriminate, but to get white guys back for stealing our women for years. Some of our finest, fittest women have been stolen by some guy named Kip that goes to UCLA. In fact, UCLA from now on stands for University of Caucasians Loving Asians. White people are stealing our food, except they call it Asian fusion. They've been stealing our roles in Hollywood, our acting roles. I just saw a movie, it's called The Great Wall, but it's with Matt Damon in the lead. And it wasn't even Trump's Great Wall, it was the Great Wall of fucking China. The only way I'm gonna be okay with Matt Damon playing the lead in The Great Wall is if they cast an Asian to play Columbus in a Discovering America movie. It's gonna be the Nina, the Pinta, and the Yamamoto. Any white people in the audience? See, white people aren't proud to be white no more, man. I know it's been a rough year for white people, but any white people in the audience? I hate the way you guys talk. I'm just gonna put that out there. It was a trap the whole time. I hate when you guys put stuff at the end of sentences that don't really belong there to make yourself sound smarter and better than us. There's one guy I was talking to outside, he was like, tragedy is an imitation, that's my white guy voice, is an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude, if you will. What's if you will? The sentence is done! Furthermore, that's been my time. My name's Jimmy Shin. You guys been great.
Great stuff from Jimmy Shin there. Lovely. If you want to find out more about his work, you can go to his website, jimmyshindig.com. And of course, you can find all of his links at our website, johnandsaminjapan.com. So that just leaves me to say thanks to our interviewee today, Evans Musoka, and once again, thanks to Jimmy Shin. All of the information about them can be found at our website, just saying it again, johnandsaminjapan.com.
Yep. So if you want to get in contact with us about the burning question, the highly inappropriately worded burning question,
we'll make that worded. We'll word it better on Facebook and Twitter.
yeah. Or if you want to suggest a news story or submit your own comedy, then get in touch with us at, what was that address again? johnandsaminjapan.com. Yes. And this show, somebody asked me the other week, and it is this show, we do 2 episodes a month, so that's why it's not every week.
We couldn't face doing it every week.
My wife won't let me out of the house for long enough. So yeah, just please give us 5 stars on iTunes and tell everybody you know to listen to it, because it's much appreciated when we get feedback.
Yeah, spread the word, and
Spread the love.
Get in touch whenever you feel like it. Facebook, Twitter, and email.
Yeah,
good old email. Well, I think that's probably all from us.
Yeah,
catch you later.
John and Sam in Japan, the international comedy podcast.